Ladies and gentlemen, evictions in the US, many of them are in the courts. And, it is a very dangerous time for people to be evicted. Where I am, it's bitterly cold, and there are nights we're down in the teens and in the low 20s. And it's definitely not a good situation. And, when you got to consider the fact that people have children, and those children will end up out on the streets with their parents. So, no matter how you look at it, it's a dangerous time, with a virus and people getting kicked out of homes and apartments. Well, there's a lot of tenant activism going on in America as well. And these groups are going into the courts and they're blocking entrances to apartment buildings and homes so that notices for evictions cannot be delivered. But, ladies and gentlemen, they haven't done enough in this country as far as helping both the landlord and tenants. I don't think landlords should be struggling to get money. I think this government should step up and come up with some type of programs that give them money. So if they got a property, apartment building, or a home that has a mortgage and people are renting, they can continue with those payments. But they haven't done this thing right at all. We wouldn't be in this situation if they did do it right. And like I said, America has showed it was nowhere near prepared for a pandemic. And it's still not prepared in all this time. Since our first lockdown in 2020, America still struggles. It still lags behind the rest of the world in COVID, period. So the story came out on Reuters, ladies and gentlemen, February 8th, 2021. This is not justice. Tenant activists append U.S. eviction courts. The voices in the virtual courtroom of Jackson County Circuit Court belong to members of the KC Tenants, a group this group comes out of Kansas City. Eviction operations to its knees last month. The group is one of the scores of tenant unions, and anti-eviction activist groups and city nationwide. Members, so they got members all over the country, have exploded during the COVID-19 pandemic, and and I think that makes it even more unfortunate. This is really not the fault of the landlord or tenant. This pandemic came along and America just can't get it under control. They can't. But they always try to talk on the news. Oh, we got less people in the hospital. Yeah, but you still got this shit circulating around and you haven't done anything. You now got multiple variants in the country and you don't have not one single one under control. How can that be good news or a victory? Go somewhere and sit down with that crap. Housing experts liken their combative tactics to the rent strike that swept the US during the Great Depression. Some of these activists operate loosely under an umbrella. Okay, so, my heart goes out because, not that far away from me, there's a parking lot, and you can clearly see that some of these people are living out of their cars. And you know how dangerous that is? You know how dangerous it is for somebody just to break their window, rob them, take their car, or even harm them or kill those people out there like that. That's a very vulnerable position to be in. All right. They're calling for more federal relief to help tenants pay back rent. And I think that should definitely be top priority. And they need to allocate enough funds for it to make a difference. They'll do things like $25 billion. It should be way more than that. People, what I think the last time I read, and this was even a few months ago, it could be way higher than that. Some people, they said the average person is, I think, $5,000 to $10,000 behind on rent. That's a lot. So for you not to offer any kind of way for renters to apply for funding to clear up some of their back rent and get these landlords paid, it is just wrong all the way around. Okay, landlords, some of whom haven't been paid in nearly a year, said they are hurting financially too. Exactly. They are, and are being unfairly vilified for how a housing crisis created by a once in a century pandemic. In Kansas City, Judge Great ignored the protesters and tried to talk over them at a January 28th hearing, seemingly unaware of the mute button. Ultimately, he shut down the proceedings. Judge Great declined to comment. It is yet another showdown in a month-long campaign at Kansas City tenants. They are saying they are trying to delay 854 evictions that are on slate in Jackson County. Mm-mm-mm. Valerie Hartman, court public information officer, disputes the figure, but says the court does not track the number of hearings of their outcomes. In September, the U.S. Center for Disease Control banned evictions nationally amid concerns about public health risks of putting people out of their homes during the pandemic. President Joe Biden has extended the moratorium until March 31st. Still, exceptions in the pressure have allowed some evictions to proceed. No comprehensive database exists to track those figures. But since the spring, nearly 250,000 tenants had been evicted in 27 cities, and it was tracked by Princeton University Eviction Lab. When the federal ban lifts, up to 40 million people owing $57 billion in back rent nationwide could be evicted. According to Moody's Analytics, an economist research firm, the Aspen Institute, a global think tank. So what they did in Kansas City, they chained themselves to the courthouse doors. They had sit-ins and, trying to do whatever they can to prevent people from being removed from their home. So they also protested at the judge's home and waged a social media campaign called Slumlord Saturdays, targeting owners who allegedly kept their properties in poor repair while pursuing evictions. So, wow, it is going to be a rough year for many people in this country in 2021. Now, we still hear all the people trying to act like all of a sudden, because they say 2021 is going to be a better year, that they can speak it into existence. Well, we haven't seen you speak it into existence yet. And it's going to be bad, especially for people that are on the verge of being evicted. So without them acting and doing more to prevent this from happening, I just don't see how it's going to end well for many people that are behind in rent and in mortgages in this country. It is going to really be bad. So, whenever there's help out there, the best thing for you to do is contact your, whoever's running these programs in your state and see what kind of financial help you can get. I mean, unfortunately, they're not listing anything here as far as helping people. Um, I think you should not postpone without having funding involved. The moratoriums are good, but you need funding so people can at least try to work their way out of these situations where they're behind on rent. But y'all, please tell me what you think. Mm-mm-mm. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.